broke my snowblower today, so I have to find a way to get this gigantic car out of my nice heated garage, because I really do need to bring in the snowblower and get it fixed up. I've got to do some welding on it and change a bunch of parts. And so today the car is going to go out, and I thought I would take a minute to share with you one of the mods that I did to help me a lot with the storage and transit of the vehicle when it's in and out of storage. And so we're going to look at that today. And first of all, let's take a look at what I did near the battery. This is your typical 360 in AMC Ambassador. Ours is a 1973, so please excuse the dirt. I haven't had any time to actually get to it. We've only had the car for just a few months so far. So you'll notice over here at the battery side that there's two solenoids, and this is what I want to talk about today. So this one right here is actually a continuous duty golf cart solenoid in 12 volts. It actually looks like this one right here. We found it on Amazon. And one of the things that we changed was simply to switch the power that comes from the vehicle, so we can remotely switch this solenoid right here. And I'll show you where that is right now. So when it's time to take the car cover off and get in and take this thing out of storage, one of the things that's always a giant hassle is having to get under the hood and open or close one of the battery terminals, or a battery switch that's under the hood or something like that. So what we've done is actually taken that continuous duty solenoid, that's a 12 volt system solenoid, but it's made to stay on, and it's a 500 amp solenoid, so lots of power can get through it. It makes a nice solid contact, and we're switching it from inside the vehicle. I want to show you where I put that. So here we are, taking a look up underneath the dashboard, and you can see where we put it right there. There's a little tiny switch right there under the dashboard, and this switch will allow us to trip that solenoid. What you can see, the interior lights will come on. So we can do a complete battery disconnect from within the vehicle right now. And that means a whole bunch of cool things. So what happens now is I'm going to be able to jump in the car after I've got the cover off, and then simply trip the solenoid, turn the key, and away we go. No more getting dirty, no more getting under the hood and having to worry about the battery switch or putting the terminals back on. And in a lot of cases, you're going to end up opening and closing the hood 3 or 4 times if you have to move this thing over the course of the storage season. And the other thing is that when I'm going to drive this in the summertime, I want to be able to make sure that wherever I go, if I have to leave it at a friend's house, or if I bring it up to our summer property or a camp, or I leave it inside my garage over the course of a week while I'm gone on holidays, I don't want to come back to a dead battery. And a lot of these old cars have a tiny parasitic draw of some kind in the wiring, and it's never much, but it's always enough that it's really annoying to you, and you have to put in a little maintenance charger or something like that. And now I don't have to do any of that. I've had the car sitting here for a considerable long time, actually. It's been in here for 7 weeks. It's been sitting in here for 7 weeks, and when I tripped off the solenoid, it does a complete disconnect of everything in the vehicle. So there's no more parasitic draw. There's zero current is getting out of the battery. And today, when I had to pull it out to get the snowblower in here to do some work on it, it was very easy. I mean, it was very easy. So I want to show you how the wiring went. Basically, what we've done now is we took this terminal of the battery, which is the positive wire, and we ran it in its standard configuration right over to the starter solenoid. None of this equipment changed at all. There was only one wire added. We added this little tiny wire right here from the positive battery side, and we ran it through a fuse and then over to the golf cart solenoid hot wire. So there's power available to the solenoid here directly from the battery through a fuse and right over to the solenoid, the new one. Now the other side of the solenoid, the ground side, that side runs all the way into the vehicle to the dash switch. And then it runs all the way back to the battery ground right here. So that the switch, this solenoid, can be turned off and on by the switch that's under the dash, just by toggling that switch. Now what this switch here, what this giant solenoid is actually doing is it's switching the ground wire from the battery. So this wire now goes to here, and the other side of this wire goes all the way down to the engine block. So the ground on the battery side, is being switched by the golf cart solenoid. Give you another view of it here. So you can see the solenoid there, and then there's the fusible link that goes from the battery plus over to the solenoid plus. The solenoid ground is switched in the vehicle and comes back to the ground wire on the battery. That's how this circuit can work when the solenoid is off, because it's wired on the battery side of the solenoid. And then the positive wire from your battery continues its original line over to the starter solenoid, and all the wires here stay the same. So there's the wire there that comes from the block, and it goes up to the new solenoid, and then that solenoid wire goes over here to the battery ground. And that's it. When you're an old car lover, you've probably had multiple cars or trucks or tractors or something like that that's using this kind of a 12-volt system. And I really hope that you will find this handy. There was no invasive changes to the vehicle at all. I simply added a small piece of cable between the ground on the battery and the new solenoid. And make sure you get a continuous duty solenoid. They're very rare. You don't find them at auto parts stores because the auto parts stores generally carry the intermittent duty solenoids, the ones that are designed to simply start your vehicle and shut off, so they have a long cool down cycle. The continuous duty ones are a very different design. They don't burn out, they don't get hot when they're on, and you can leave them on for the duration of your time because they're specifically designed to run that way. So make sure if you're going to try something like this, you get a continuous duty solenoid. I'm going to put a link in the description for where we found ours, which is on Amazon. It's a 500 amp, 12 volt, continuous duty golf cart solenoid, and a single, very short, I think an 8-inch negative side terminal for the battery. That was all we had to do. It's a really handy thing now to just be able to get in and flick the switch and be able to roll it right out on a full battery, keep it charged, not have to worry about using a trickle charger all the time, and really like this mod. I should have done this with my other cars years ago. So that's the newest in the Ambassador files. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.